everyone, welcome back to True Crime Stories. I'm your host, Brittany Shell. Excuse my background. It's terrible. I'm doing it from my bedroom, but hey, it's whatever. um, Today I'm going to be chatting about the serial squatter known as Jamison Bachman. But he also went by Jed Creek. And so I was doing a little research on him because I found this on worst roommate ever, and I found this is called Roommate Wanted Part One, and there's a Part Two. Apparently, this man has been scamming people all over the world. He was scamming people all over the world. He's known as a serial squatter. And if you don't know what a serial squatter is, it's one of those people that, let's say you place an ad for a roommate, or you need a roommate and you meet with him, and he says sweet little, he's charming, he's kind of like Ted Bundy minus the murdering people. Well, he did murder someone, but minus the serial killer in him. He was a serial squatter. So he would basically tell you all these sweet things to get you to move in, to get him to move in with you, to get you and him to be roommates. And like slowly things would start creeping around. Like he'll start creeping around. He'll start slowly changing things in your apartment. He'll take things, put it in his room. He was kind of like, he was like a homeless man, but in your house, basically. And a lot of these people, when I watched Worst Roommate Ever, I noticed things that before he would sign the papers and would sign any kind of agreement, they would let him move in. I'm like, you let this man move in before he signed any papers? And now they have to fight to get him out because now, okay, the thing about it, I lived with a guy like him before, and the thing about it, if he has mail coming to your house, then you can't evict him. Like, you can evict him. You would have to go to the courthouse and go through the eviction process and stuff. And that takes like 30 days. So he will be in your house, stealing your stuff, breaking your stuff while you're at work and stuff. Like, I've had this happen. That's why you have to be careful with who you are roommates with. But he would torture other roommates. He lied. He stole people's animals and took them with him. He's just crazy. He was just crazy. So apparently he was charged. When they finally caught up with him, he went to jail, right? So when he went to jail, his brother got him out of jail, and his brother didn't want him to live with him. So he went to his brother's house and murdered him. Like, I think what I read was that he bashed his brother's head in with a hammer. I think that's what happened. But he murdered his brother, the only one that would help him. He murdered him. And then he ended up killing himself in prison. But here is, I'm trying to find a video that I can show you all. Let's see. This one looks good. I don't know if this one would tell you all.
Oh, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question is, can I analyze the case of Jamison Patreon, although he looked for unfair advantages in any type of content?
No, this one's not the video I wanted to show you all. I agree. I'm surprised that Jamison lived as long as he did without getting shot by someone. Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't get beat up. Like, okay.
Hi, how
Here's
are
one
you?
of the stories.
How are you?
Fine, thanks. Thanks for calling back.
No, it's my pleasure. I'm originally from Philadelphia, and I find Philadelphians to be very difficult. A lot of flaky people.
Arrest has been made in the murder of a man inside his home in Elkins Park. Today, 64-year-old Harry Bachman was found dead in the basement of his home, and late tonight, police charged his 60-year-old brother with murder.
Yeah, he was
I met
16 years
him at
old.
Starbucks. He was wearing a Lacoste polo. To me, it looked like he was in his 40s, like late 40s. So he bought me a latte, and we talked.
His mannerisms were that he was really kind of like dismissive and demeaning and hoity. He had a very upper class air about him, and he supposedly, as far as I know this is real, was a docent regularly at the Met, and he kind of had that look.
He presented himself really well. He was well spoken, and he immediately said, I can pay the month and security cash right now.
Jamison Bachman grew up on the northern border of Philadelphia in a middle-class family. His father owned a construction company and his mother stayed at home. His brother, Harry, 4 years Jamison Sr., was handsome and multi-talented, taking leading roles on both the soccer team and the school plays. Where Harry was charming and outgoing, Jamison was self-confident. According to one of Jamison's childhood friends, he was the cockiest kid you'd ever meet. After graduating high school, Jamison enrolled at Tulane University in 1975, but dropped out in 1976 and returned home. For 20 years, Bachman traveled, worked odd jobs, and studied abroad in Israel and the Netherlands. Around 1987, Bachman returned stateside. He went on later to graduate from Georgetown with a master's in history and went on in 2002 to get a law degree from the University of Miami.
See, that's why I was saying in the beginning, like looking at Jamison, I'm watching the show now, but looking at Jamison, he's very charming. He's very wise looking. Like he speaks well, and he was kind of charming like Ted Bundy was, and he was an attractive male, and so when you look at him and speak with him, then you're just like, oh, okay, he seems like a good candidate. Like, then go ahead and give him a chance and stuff like that. Like, let him live with you, because he doesn't seem like he's a terrible person. But if you watch this episode, like, he's the devil. Like, he laughs in your face when it's time to pay the rent. He tortures people. He steals people's animals. Like, he stole one of the roommates that he stole her 2 cats, and her cats ended up dying. Like, he was terrible. He was just terrible.
Jamison pulled up out here with a van and came inside. I was confused when I saw the van and found out that it had a dog and a cat in it. When I was contacted by Jamison through Craigslist about him needing a room immediately, given that he was displaced by Sandy, I made an exception. I had only arranged to just meet him. I had not arranged to have someone with all of their worldly possessions showing up at my house. He was insisting. I stated multiple times, word for word, this is making me uncomfortable. I'm uncomfortable right now. You're going to have to at least give me a night to think about it. So I kind of sighed and said, okay, but you understand that this is only for a couple weeks. He said, yes, of course he understood. Yeah, we'd have some nice conversations in the kitchen. Things seemed...
That's why you get things in writing. Me studying, being a paralegal, you always get things in writing. Contracts in writing, you always get them in writing, stating what's going to happen, how it's going to be, and make sure they signed it before, and make sure it's notarized just to be sure, because people will scam you like what he did to her. Scam you.
Relatively okay. Until he started to intentionally pick at things, complain about things, get aggressive. He tried to give me a check for December. And I said, what the hell is this? No, you're leaving. And he said, well, I'm not leaving. He knew how to terrify you and to let you know that he could do serious harm to you without really crossing that line legally. So he would hold his fingers like this and shove you in little shoves while talking to you, or he would poke you in the chest while yelling at you. He knew that I was trying to photograph certain areas of the house. And so I was like staging them, getting them clean. So for instance, the kitchen behind me was super minimal, and he put a microwave and a coffee maker in it and refused to let me move them. And
When you say he refused to let you move up, did he threaten you? Or?
He would tell me that if I touched anything of his, I would be sorry. And he started using all these veiled threats. So I was bringing his microwave up the stairs. It was big and bulky. And as I was coming towards his door, he came out and started shoving me backwards. And I got to just the top of the stair when my friend came around the corner and was coming up the stairs. So he stopped short of pushing me down the steps.
I travel a lot. I travel in the country a lot. I went to grad school in D.C. and lived there for about 10 years. And then most of the last of the 15 years, I've been in New York City.
After June, he told me to please use his deposit for the next month's rent, which would have been July. And then August, September, October, November, he didn't pay me. The first time I noticed a change where Jamison entered my old roommate's private area to open the window, I started second guessing, well, what's to say that he's not entering my room? But I decided, since I worked the midnight shift that night at another job, that I was going to take an empty wine bottle and put it behind my door. When I came back from work the next morning, I went straight to my room to change, and I realized when I opened the door, I forgot to check that wine bottle. But I actually stuck my head in and I looked, and I noticed that the wine bottle not only was not knocked over, but it had been moved. I noticed he was up in the morning, sitting at his computer. I told him, Jamison, I need you to understand that our new roommate, she has her own private place, and you cannot enter that room whatsoever. But I just also want to make sure that you're aware that you're not to enter my room either. His ear, because I could see his right ear, went from a beige color to immediately really red. And he was leaning over saying, well, you think I came to your room? And I said, yes, I actually believe that you did, because I had a wine bottle right behind that door and it's been moved. And he said, well, if you think I came into your room, then go ahead, bring it on. And he came like an inch or two from my face. And I told him, I looked at him and I said,
oh, by the way, in case you all haven't noticed, that's what Jamison looked like after I guess he got beat up or something, but that's what he looks like. Yeah.
you're barking up the wrong tree. You better get your face off my face. I can defend myself. And he looked at me and he's like, oh, well, what are you going to do? Go ahead, bring it on. Without even getting my eyes off of him, I did a palm heel right to the door. His door was right there. He kind of got a little startled and he goes, well, what, you think I did something? You think? Go ahead, bring it on. He kept saying that. And I just looked at him and I said, he's trying to rile me up. And I said, you know what? You're not even worth the breath that I'm wasting on you.
I don't see an address, just an approximate address. Where in Chestnut Hill sort of are you?
Are you familiar then with Chestnut Hill?
A little bit. And of course, I've got, you don't need to be familiar with anything anymore. I just throw you into the GPS and I can find.
Well, okay, so I'm not so comfortable, because we are just talking right now.
Right, okay. No, that's
from online,
I understand.
So we're walking at the apartment where Jamison and I lived, where he moved in with me in March and stayed until he was arrested in May after he assaulted me. The day after the party, I was brushing my teeth in the bathroom. And when I was finished brushing my teeth, I came out. I was going into my bedroom and I was met by Jamison as he was walking through the hallway, and at which point he gripped me up and choked me in telling me that I had made a grave mistake. And he let me go. And then he walked into his bedroom I demanded him to, get the fuck out, and asked him when he was leaving.
Dang.
I tried to open the door, and he kept slamming my door in the opening over and over and over again, and at the same time was slashing at my leg. I have 9 or 10 marks on my leg still from the knife that he used.
As I said, I am born and raised in Philadelphia, but I have family here, and that's why I'm
He's
here.
crazy. He was crazy. I meant he passed away.
When police from the 14th District arrived at the apartment, they found Bachman polite, cooperative, and apologetic after the altercation. Jamison was charged with assault and other felonies and sent to jail. On October 28th, Harry Bachman paid $250 to bail Jamison out. Once he was out, Jamison asked to stay at Harry's house in Elkins Park, but Harry refused. While she was out of town, Harry's wife had asked him to stay a few miles away. She feared what would happen if Jamison, now free, made an appearance at the house. Not even planning to stay there, Harry stopped home on his way out of town, where an unwelcome sight confronted him. It was Jamison.
Police say they were called around 12:15 Saturday afternoon to
murdered
this
his
home on the
brother.
400 block of North Sterling Road in Elkins Park. The call was for a welfare check after the victim, Harry Bachman, didn't show up to meet a relative the night before. When police arrived, they say they found Harry Bachman dead in the basement. They also found signs of a violent struggle and blunt force trauma to the victim's head and body. Police say the suspect, Bachman's brother, Jamison, stole Bachman's car, a red Ford Escape, from the driveway. Detectives found that vehicle at the Fairfield Inn Hotel in Upper Moreland Township and then took the suspect into custody. Police have not released a motive for the killing. Authorities say Jamison Bachman will be charged with first and third degree murder.
Hold on, let's see what this is. Yeah, he took his own life.
Alex texted me asking if she could call. And I kind of figured when she said that he was dead. And sure enough, she called and she said, "Are you sitting down?" And I said, "No, but I think I know what you're going to say." And she said, "Jamison killed himself." And I said, "Yeah, that makes sense."
And I wanted to start a family here. I wanted to live here. I had wonderful, wonderful neighbors. This is everything that I had, and I built a lot to be here. And then this person just came and took it all away. And he took it all away just in one day, in one moment. He took it all away. For what? I was only giving him a place to live and helping him.
This was the first time I'm hearing this, that he hung himself. And I felt bad. His only other family member that was behind him was his brother.
The only one. Only one. And he
God
killed
have
him.
mercy on his soul. Really.
That's crazy. So the only one that was by his side was his brother, and he murdered him. The only one. Let's see. Here is...
The man accused of killing his own brother was arraigned tonight in Montgomery County. 60-year-old Jamison Bachman is facing first and third degree murder charges after police say he killed 64-year-old Harry Bachman in his Elkins Park home. According to a police affidavit, Jamison was recently bailed out of jail by Harry, but Harry would not allow him to stay at his home due to Jamison's alleged history of violence.
That's crazy. Your own brother, though, wouldn't let you live with him. It's just crazy how people do that. Like, I don't know. It's just people. Crazy. But yeah, I had experience with a serial squatter before, and actually like 3 serial squatters, but that's because I'm too nice, but no more. This is an example why. But anyway, this is the story of Jamison Bachman, and the worst serial squatter ever. One of them. Thank you all so much for listening to True Crime Stories. See you next time for the next crime story. Later.